So, Beverly, your birthday is tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
And you will be how old?
I'll be 100. I've worked toward it for the last 2 years. I said when you're 98, goodness sakes, give or take a year or two, you're 100 years old. You've been around 100. So I said it again last year. And so here I am at the 100 mark. I haven't, tomorrow morning will be, I guess, or I don't know when I was born, but except on the 20. I have said November 25th, 25, 50 times. As you go to the doctor, they want to know what your birthday is. So I have recited it over and over and over, not giving it too much thought that eventually the day would come, and it's here.
It's here.
So
can you recall what one of your earliest childhood memories was?
Yes, the minute that was mentioned, I have a memory that isn't, every time I think about it, I can get tears in my eyes. It was the burning of our barn. We were we were living in the old stagecoach house that my great-grandfather had built. We were now living in it. And the farms had been taken over by the insurance companies to help the farmers along the way. And they had moved in a house that this one we were living in was going to be torn down, and we would move into this house at that time. And out of the blue, up the stairway, called my father, get up, I need help, the barn is on fire. And so here was my father with his 2 sets of horses in the barn and our riding horse. He went into the barn in the flames. There was nothing any of us could do. It was a blazing roar. And the 2 teams went out, Dick and Nellie and me or King, I don't know, they had names. And their all their harness and their everything went with them. And a bin of new harvested oats that was in the barn for the winter feeding was all up in flames. But my father went in to get the riding horse out, but the riding horse, he got it out, so he got burnt, not severely, but he was burnt too. And the horse ran back into the barn.
Oh my.
But she came back out, and she was severely burned, so he doctored her burns thereafter. But yes, that was I remember I was 13 years old. That was 1938. I was 13, went to school the next day in tears, telling the teacher that we'd lost that barn. But let me tell you, the investigation proved it was the harvest man that my father had hired. He was living in this house that we were going to move into. That's where he stayed. My father went quickly to the house to call him for help. He was gone. He had later determined, he had thrown gas into the barn, set the barn on fire. He disliked the team of horses that he had to drive. They were slow. Teams got tired of their work, but we were farming with horses at that time, and we did that into my own farming career. But we lost our barn, but it was this itinerant worker who had set it on fire and took off.
And there was probably nothing that you could have done?
Not a thing. We couldn't do anything. Fire departments, I don't think, were around at that time.
I was going to say, you probably had buckets of water is the only thing that you probably could have done.
It was a total blaze.
Yeah.
And so that was
sad.
My memory that
you first, you can recall, yeah. So I'm just going to keep on to this sheet, but what inventions or changes in the world amazed you the most during your life?
The changes?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
You've probably seen a lot of changes.
I've seen a lot. I think the first greatest change was 1950 when the electricity REA went through the country and gave us electricity. We had a kerosene refrigerator, but now we had everything electric, the irons, everything. We had used gas irons, but the electricity was a miracle.
Yeah.
And so that, and later, that was in 50, and in around the 70s, rural water came through. And that was the biggest. We used to have deep well waters that used to feed the livestock, and it was rusty water, it wasn't good water. But that's how we had to drill to get water for the livestock. Mm-hmm. And so now we had it running into our homes, into the cattle feeders. They had electric feeders that the cattle had it ever so good. Are you interviewing? And it was the electricity, the telephone were all a part of that miracle.
Do you think now today when you flip on that light switch what it was like back then to not be able to do that?
They can't really fathom what it was like. I know all about trimming the wicks and having fuel for my lamp be ready. Mm-hmm. I wore chimneys. I trimmed the wicks. I put the kerosene in the lamps. I have 2 of those lamps that I gave to the children. Mm-hmm. Beautiful souvenir past. But telephone was just about as important because here we kept calling the people in town because I'm sure they got tired. We couldn't believe what we had. Uh-huh. And then the rural water. Those were the blessings of my life.
Mm-hmm. So we're coming up on winter, so it's going to get really cold soon. What were things that you had to prepare for back in the day when you didn't have all those things that you don't have to now?
We always had trees. All the land that we acquired came from my great-grandfather, who claimed the land in the rush to Dakota land. And so they had to build tree claims, mm-hmm. Of some sort. Mm-hmm. In our case, it was a grove on the home farm, a beautiful grove, how pretty it was. It's now 150 years old, and I'll tell you a little story in a minute, but we had to saw wood, and my dad would have he had a tractor-driven saw, big saw, and he would do the pushing of the logs through, but we had to carry the wood to him, and those were the logs that were burnt in the mm-hmm. in the stoves mm-hmm. to keep us warm. And we didn't complain. It's all we knew. So it was fine. But we had later coal stoves, but we used the wood too from the mm-hmm. trees.
Yeah. What was your favorite decade in life and why? You've lived a lot of decades, so what was your favorite?
Okay. My husband has been gone probably near 20 years, but I lived alone. We had a lake home. When we left the farm, we had this lake home, beautiful home, and it was kind of my instinct to have the lake home. We'd always talked about it, but got it. And I lived there 5 years after he was gone, and all of a sudden I thought, gosh, it's kind of lonesome out here, Mm-hmm. And the neighborhood was changing. We were in Paradise Drive out to the lake, and it was a small area, but it was changing. The younger people were coming in. It was older people. Now it's young, and I was probably one of the oldest. But anyway, I had a friend in Edgewood, That's a communal living. And I only thought of that place, and I thought, I'm going there. I know what they do there. I'm going there. It's independent living. I could cook. I had a 2-bedroom apartment when I pulled in, and it was the greatest time of my life. I wanted to tell everybody, you have to know this as you get old. Don't stay home. Go sell your house and get into this apartment living where you're working with all kinds of people around you. And it was the most wonderful time of my life when I went into Edgewood. I loved it. I had a garage underneath. A heated garage was convenient I could ever expect. And the people I met, I eventually knew one person, but they were all strangers to me. But what a family I walked into. And I just felt like I've got to tell everybody about this, because they have to know this. You don't stay in your home. No longer were the children looking after you like they did in the old days. Now it was time for you to tend yourself. And so anyway, I spent 10 years there, ended up with a fracture in my spine, ended up in assisted living, but ended up having to figure that out myself. I got a magnetic brace that took care of me, and on I went. By that time, the kids had sold. I had a 2-bedroom. I had a lot of furniture I had brought from the lake, and so my furniture was now gone. And I knew about 200 Maple because I had a sister-in-law that was here, so I visited her many times, and so the rent goes up, when you're in assisted living, and I was tending myself. They give out medicine. I had no medicine to take.
Do you still have no medicine to take?
I have a couple little pills, and I have an eye problem that developed, but just a couple small things. But it was the greatest time of my life to end up in independent living. I cooked.
Did you clean?
No, they cleaned. They provided a meal a day, but I could cook. I could bake. I did all kinds of stuff. But the greatest thing that happened to me that I had no idea was going to happen, they had a need for me. I had brought all my sewing machines with me. And yes, I became a seamstress in Edgewood. And I said, I'm not experienced, I don't charge. So I just did things for them, and they in gratuity gave me money. When I left Edgewood, I had $500 that I had gotten for my sewing projects. It was wonderful. But not intended. I didn't go there to sew but they had that need, and I filled it.
That's wonderful. Did you sew growing up? I mean,
I took sewing in school, home ec class. I made several wedding dresses.
Whose wedding dresses did you make?
They were young girls in the family community. A couple of a Miller and her friend Laura that I had made wedding dresses for. I wasn't in the business, but I was able to do it.
Yes.
And so I did it.
Your skills were good.
Huh?
Your skill. You were very talented.
I could do most anything with sewing. I could redo a jacket. I could do most things. I tailored a jacket in a sewing class at one time. Yes, I became my mother was a seamstress, and so that I came naturally by, and that was good enough for me.
Very
good.
But
it was interesting.
So Edgewood was great to you then?
What?
Edgewood was very good for you.
It was a turning point in my life as I lived alone. It was they were wonderful. The people I met became dear friends, and of course they're all gone now. Not one of them just sent me a card that
Good.
was there. I guess a couple of them has sent cards from Edgewood.
Yeah.
But another one came to visit me. She was a very good friend, and so that was special. Mm-hmm. And then, go on with your...
So what's something from your younger years that you wish people still did today?
I don't know how much of it is done, but we had nobody but our neighbors to befriend. Mm-hmm. And so we got to know our neighbors, and we did things with them. In my community, it was those people that I formed the Extension Club with, and the things that we did. And that was when we did our interviewing of the older folks. Mm-hmm. That it was a project that we were asked to do, and we did it.
Why did you form the Extension Club?
But you have to ask me another question. What thing influenced me most in my life?
What did?
Extension Homemaker Program.
Okay.
That was taught by the home agents. There was a woman agent in our county and a county agent. And the woman agent taught us all the skills we needed. We had no guidance. We were coming off the top of our heads to do things. They taught us to pickle fish. They taught us beautiful menus. They taught us cooking of all sorts. And we took the classes in Extension and then brought them back to our clubs. We had Extension clubs. And I was a 50-year member of the Extension program, and it really went down while I was still, but I was a 50-year member. And during that same time, I taught a 4-H club for 23 years, led and organized probably 2 or 3 4-H clubs. And so there is my training. Mm-hmm. There is my, I did not go to college. I was on the cusp of college. I wanted my kids to go, but I never got there. And maybe it was a regret that I had, but I seemed to have natural ability to do what I needed to do. And I got into some kind of tough situations that I had to work my way out of.
Do you remember any of those tough situations that you had to work yourself out of?
One of the worst was, it wasn't all bad, but it was enlightening to me to show me that I probably should have had some education. I was asked by the local superintendent. I was only 1.5 miles from the school, and I never worked at a job. Okay. I consider myself a professional volunteer. My work was done in the Grace Church 60 years, and there's where my story enlarges. But it was through all of these experiences that I found myself able to lead. And I was a leader in 4-H. I ran the lunch counter at the farm show for 23 years as a leader in the 4-H club. Yes, in 4-H. But in Extension, I taught them quilts. I later became a quilt maker, but in Extension Club, I taught this group how to make quilts, and we did a velvet quilt. They all brought velvet, and we did a velvet quilt, which we put to a 4-H auction, and I bought it back, so one of my grandchildren have it now. And then we did another one, a tulip quilt. Another grandchild, I have glass cases I put my quilts in, and gave them to these grandchildren long ago. Mm-hmm. And so I taught quilt making, but I I told you about the church work that I was involved in for 60 years. I, at one time, led the church group, like a bunch of women like that.
Oh, the Hat Ladies. Were you part of the Hat Ladies?
I would, when I was different women led the group.
Okay.
I led them for 5 years. And during that time, I would take them out after we had made quilts for the season and they were shipped off to the foreign countries. I would bring them out to my house. And so one time I had them wear hats, the other time I had them wear aprons. But all of those women today are gone.
Aww.
Those are the women that I can identify with. There's nobody left. Even the helpers that I brought out to help me serve them lunch are gone.
What made these women so special?
Well, I became a quilt maker myself. I gave quilts to all my grandchildren and the children. So quilt making was up my alley. But in the end, it was a little different to do your own quilts because we did it all, machine work and handwork. But the quilts that went overseas, we used a serger. And I became the master of the serger. I've had a serger. I still have one in my closet. I'm going to give to a grandchild, but I serged thousands of quilts. And there were different groups in the church that cut the blocks, we tied the quilts, and we serged them, those in the sewing room. They use these sergers who do an overcast all around, and off they went into the boxes to go overseas to the Lutheran World Relief. But along that same line, when I was in the church over here, I was also an avid Lydia Circle member. Our circle was very active because of me, but I poured the lye and soap or oil together to make a ton of soap, homemade soap, that went overseas to the Lutheran World Relief as well. I ported the lye outside, which is, I've had allergies, and sometimes I thought maybe that's where I got them, but I don't think so. But anyway, I poured all of that, the beginning mix, the mix of the lye and the oil together that formed the soap. Then I poured it into boxes, and we had a pool table down in the basement. So that pool table became the curing ground for 1,000 pounds of soap. Through my 60 years, that's where I bloomed in that church, because I also started the Nordfest, which is still active today. I ran it for 17 years. I developed it. We were tired of a gifting program, so I went up to North Dakota to the Host Fest and brought back the idea of a food fair. And a lot of Norwegians were in the church, so it was easy to pick up on the Norwegian traditions. And so we made lefse by the, we rolled for many, many years, I won't, and became experts. We were known at Grace for our beautiful lefse, and they still are making that organization, that Host Fest, and Nordfest, I called it, is still going today. Almost 50 years was their last one this year.
And you started that.
I started that, yep. And
so you said you are a professional volunteer.
That's who when people say, well, what did you do? Are you a teacher? No, I'm not a teacher. I am a professional volunteer.
Tell me why it's so important for people to volunteer.
Oh my, if they only knew the need that's what I'm telling the young people, get involved where you can make a difference too. And in that process, you will learn and you will grow, and it is a good experience in life.
Mm-hmm.
So get involved, get to know the people around you, and of course, church work is always important. There's always a need, and I'm a firm supporter of church work. I organized visitation groups, and there was nothing more important than the visitation groups in a church. I was involved in 2 and leading both of them. And so we made fun of it, and what an experience to be a visitor in the church and greet these people who are homebound. Mm-hmm. We would go into the nursing homes and we visited everybody along the way. And many times it'd be 25, 30 people we contacted that day we were out visiting. It was the most important time of my life to be involved in those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And so I say to others, get to know the needs around you, get involved, and in that process, I became a giver. In my later years, the farm was very good to me. I had to pay fairly good rent, to live in these places, and I had it to pay and more. So I became a giver. I have probably 12, 13 charities that I've given to through the last many years of when I've been alone, because I've had it to give. And that is the most gratifying thing. I want to tell you an experience I had very recently with this same church. They were doing a project where they were after clothing. I cleaned my closet out and got it to where it is reasonable. I can find things when I go in there now. I gave them bags of clothing, coats, jackets, sweaters, tops, pants, shoes. I cleaned my closet. I had no need for all of this, and yet I was an avid shopper. I love shopping, and so I don't do that anymore, but I've taught my daughter to be a pretty good shopper.
It's a pretty fun thing, too.
And so, at any rate, I have to go a little bit further with that story. They were accumulating. They had to get 1,000 bags of clothing, just what I described. And they were putting these bags as the church group were doing this for a project. They had an air conditioner that went down, so they were raising money. And so I never heard of this, but it was a big truck was coming. When they get their 1,000 bags, a big semi would come and load them and take it down to Minneapolis or wherever they went with it. Mm-hmm. And so when it was a nephew-in-law married to my niece that was a member of that church. So I was getting direct information. And he said, well, we're going to, I think we'll take a little of the money we get to hire an athletic group to come and load the truck. And I didn't have to think very long. I said, let me give the money. And I gave a sizable donation to a wrestling group, a booster wrestling group, who loaded that semi in an hour and a half, and they expected it to take 4 hours. If you ever saw a community activity of an organization, I was able to watch it from my windows in the hall. And I would go every so often. All of a sudden, the truck was gone. I said, what? I could see they were putting bags through a window. There was no door where these bags were coming from. But the little kids in that family, not only parents, but the wrestlers and their families, and even these little ones, were using a sleigh to carry these. They were putting small bags through the window so even the little ones could take part. in loading the semi. It was the most gratifying time I ever had over money I had given. And
it went to a good cause, didn't it?
Huh?
It went to a good cause.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Yeah.
They will use the money to go to camps and do things that they pay for. And it was a sizable donation, so they sent me a nice card. And that's what I'm saying. Learn to be a giver. There was a time when his name was Leo Titsi. He used to do a paper article, Thoughts While Shaving, and he invariably talked about giving and the power of giving, that you get it back. Yes, you get it back. Whatever you give, you get back. And so people need to learn that. And there's charities out there galore to give to. And I have these ones that I've given many years to. And I'm sure they'll miss me when I'm gone. But
what do you say to somebody that questions being philanthropic? Like why they should give?
It's so gratifying to you. And it was a perfect example over here in the end when I saw that family out to earn that money that they had been promised. And yes, they got their check, and I got a nice thank you for it. But that is the power of giving. You are helping someone beyond yourself, and it's gratifying. And I see now in the churches, there's several that have a metal pail, and they teach the little ones to come up and drop their coins in. That is the beginning, but they must follow up on that. The older ones, too, must learn to be charitable. Mm-hmm. Give some of what you have. You don't need it all, and maybe some do, and you have to judge that, but the average person has more than they need. Learn to share, and it is gratifying. It's just been a joy to be able to do that, and I have been given my farm has been the hello. Set them on the table.
With all of your other ones.
But anyway, that is my my attitude toward giving.
Yeah.
And so.
Then this, I think I might know the answer to this one, but what advice would you give to young people today?
Well, that is it. Go beyond yourself. And I see the little kids probably doing that in their sports a lot. But if you aren't in sports, still reach out to those around you. Get to know the people around you and continue to do that. Continue to reach out to the people around you. It was so important in our day because we didn't have the entertainment that they have today. And young people are really burdened with their special clubs that they belong to, and have to go all over the state to ball games, and the parents included are and over weekends as a rule they've lost their Sundays and their free time. But I don't really agree with that, but it's just a way of life today, and so they deal with it. Just like we dealt with what we had to in our day. But if we hadn't had our neighbors, we used to go to square dances, and we used to, a lot of the older ones beyond me used to have clubs where they played cards in wherever they went from farm to farm. And so we didn't have the entertainment set up for us that is there today. And so we had to make our own. But that wasn't all bad. it wasn't all bad.
Mm-hmm.
We got to know our neighbors, and they are the leftovers of those neighbors are still there, and are gratifying to run into.
So what has brought you the most joy over your life?
I guess probably my ability to lead. I taught classes in Edgewood. I used to do a news class. I would catch the news, and I was particular with Watertown. I wanted the Votech school, the high school, the things around us that were happening. I would gather, and then I'd give a month story, and they willingly came to hear the news, even though they had probably heard it once. They loved that program. From there, I went to a cut and dried program my granddaughter had sent me, where you tell stories that had gone to trial. And so in Edgewood, we set up a jury. And so I would tell the case that was in this book, all prepared, and they would decide guilty or not guilty. And so we played with it over at Edgewood. And then I was the judge, so I could tell them the outcome. Mm-hmm. And then we'd discuss it. Was that a good outcome or wasn't it? So those were fun, and they loved them.
That's great. That sounds fun.
And so those are the things that gave me the satisfaction of being who I was. And it was just my ability. I had a natural ability built in. Or maybe I learned it through the years because of the conditions we had coming through.
What, in your lineup with your siblings, what number were you? Were you firstborn, lastborn?
I was in the middle.
You were in the middle.
I was a middle child. Okay. All of my family are gone. We were a family of 8. A couple of them lived to be 94. My mother lived to be 102. And if I were to show you a picture that was taken, a long time ago at a wedding, they had this little camera shop set up, and you go in and have your picture. I looked just like my mother. Oh. And I always had a tendency to feel that I was kind of like her. Mm-hmm. And then I learned to sew, and she was a seamstress. Mm-hmm. But my real regret, I didn't tell you about the most challenged. I guess you asked the question, but I didn't tell you.
You tell me what your most challenging time was.
I started to, and then we got off on something else.
It's all right.
Anyway, I was about 1.5 miles from the school system, and the superintendent called me on 3 different occasions to come into the school. At one time, I was to fill in for the first grade teacher while she taught kindergarten. That was newly coming into the schools. And so I did. The teacher, knowing I was not qualified, cleaned the cupboards. I had nothing to work with, so I went to the superintendent, and he didn't seem to help, but I knew where the paper closet was, and I had to entertain. I wasn't teaching. I was just holding these first graders and second graders while she taught kindergarten for 6 weeks. So that was a tough one, and again, I'm not qualified to be here. So the second time he brought me in, I was to teach a semester of crafts to middle schoolers, which I got by pretty well with, a few misunderstandings, but the greatest one was when I was brought into the school as a business manager. So I served as a business manager in the school for 5 years. There was no superintendent. So I was doing the work
of both jobs.
And that didn't get well received by the degreed people.
Okay.
And so eventually they got school board, and it was coming in at me from all sides. I left immediately. Didn't resign or nothing. I just said I'm done, and I left. And so it was all over. But I had to have some stamina to withhold. Yes, I was doing the work, but I wasn't qualified. I wasn't degreed.
But by whose standards were you not qualified?
I hadn't had college education. I wasn't a college graduate, and they all knew it. I was living on the farm. I did a secretarial job a couple times, but I am a professional volunteer. It was in my church work where I became the volunteer that has made me what I am.
Yeah.
So
I think you're probably more than that.
Huh?
I think you're more than just a professional volunteer.
Well, I am what I am, and I you can't be anything else. But I have bloomed, I guess, with what I have been through, and I'm grateful for who I am. That I didn't really expect to live this long, and I guess it's my genes from my parents. The rest of the family, a couple of them got to 94, but here I am, middle child, at the top.
Yeah.
And I don't worry about how much further I have to go. I'll handle it. I'll get there.
So, what is the secret to living a long and happy life?
Well, I have a way with people. I never argue with anybody. I let them have their opinion, but I can hold fast to mine too. But I've had to, in these cases, had to become strong in what I was doing, and I seem to have. And so I can only give that. That's all I can say is, why am I here? I don't know. It's just that I've endured, and I have held fast, and I have my own faith and strength, and I keep going, and I guess I will.
So you talked about that guy that had the shaving thoughts in the morning.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts waking up this morning?
What were my thoughts this morning?
Yeah.
Well, I was a little nervous. I did a prayer or two upstairs and I always did when I've been a leader for a long time in various areas, and I've always, when I had to perform, I've had to, in my extension homemaker work, I held a state office for 10 years. I was president, vice president, treasurer of the Homemakers Association. And so I've had to fill in for presidents. I've had a leadership role forever. I'd be at a state meeting and the president couldn't come. I was the vice president. I would have to take over the meeting. I did it in San Antonio. I've been, and how I did it, I don't know. I just did because that's where I was, and that's what I had to do. I never flopped under my leadership role. I carried it out. I went on. I got through it. I was able to lead, and that's the thing that I guess I prize the most in my life, is the fact that I was leader of a lot, 4-H extension, the homemakers, just everywhere I was, I'm able to be a leader. And at Edgewood it was fun because I was really performing over there with my classes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any other advice that you would like to share with everyone?
Oh boy, I think, I don't know what. You mean because I'm old?
Just not because I'm old. No, just, in 100 years, you've seen a lot of things happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what is just a piece of advice that you could leave with us?
Well, I guess understand what's going on around you. Through my years, I've had 3 interests. Medicine. Mm-hmm. I know my body. I tend it. Mm-hmm. Myself. I've been very fortunate. I haven't had any knees or hips or anything operated on. I had appendix when I was 14 years old. But I've had very little wrong with me. And so that has been a blessing. But others have many things that have been a part of their life. But I don't know what to say to them. Just be yourself, but be good at it. Don't drop the ball. Keep going. And I am. I don't know what to say, but
You're good.
See all these flowers around me and the cheering section with my cards and especially that cake with the Krispies on it. I am blessed beyond being blessed. And so there is, as Leo would say, you will become a blessing to others by giving. And yes, that is so true. And I couldn't have had it happen more beautifully than with the last giving I gave.
Did you have a party this weekend?
Yes, our family got together. They had a party for me in 4th of July where 60 relatives came. There's a picture on the wall of all of my next of kin. Yeah. There were only 11 that weren't there. And that's my family.
Well, Andy had all of the grandkids, right? He asked them a question, what the favorite memory of you was. And I have one that I'm going to read. It's from Lexi.
Okay.
And she said, my Grandma Bev is my hero. She is one of the strongest women I have ever known, and her example inspires me every day to be a better person, a better sister, a better wife, and a better mom. Watching how she navigated each season of her life gave me the strength to keep going when I felt I couldn't, especially after my dad passed. Growing up, the way she showed up for her sisters taught me what it truly means to be a great sister. Her unwavering belief in the importance of family shaped my parents, shaped me, and is now shaping my own children. I'm forever grateful for how close I grew up to my cousins, aunts, and uncles. That closeness is part of who we are, and it's something we're continuing to pass on. People often tell me, your family is so close, and every time I think of Grandma, just thinking of her brings me joy. She is my hero, always has been, always will be. I love her more than words can ever express.
Let me tell you something about that granddaughter. When she was married, she asked me to come to the Catholic Cathedral in downtown Chicago to be a part of her wedding, and I did a reading. She is special. Yes, all of my grandchildren are special. That's why they are my life. And so yes, I think as much of her as she is of me, but it was her father that passed away, and Lexi has always been a special. My grandparents established Waverly, the town of Waverly.
Okay.
So I have written the history, and I get a little. There's so much in my head that I sometimes have a little trouble
right.
saying, but oh gosh, I knew this was going to happen.
It's okay.
But anyway, she had the same name as the maiden name of my great grandmother, who settled the
Waverly.
the land and developed the town of Waverly. Waverly was named after the Sir William Scott's Waverly novels, but he came from Scotland and was a train master, so he came here hoping that when the train went through, he was going to have this little town. Mm-hmm. He missed it by 1.5 miles. So he took his little settlement, which is called Mayfield, moved it over to the railroad station, and in the area, right where that's where Waverly is, mm-hmm. and named it Waverly. And it was because of Sir Walter Scott's Waverly novels. Mm-hmm. But I wrote all that history through the years. It was in school bulletins, and I attended my 80th school reunion a few years ago. That's an old reunion.
That's a good
Probably
reunion.
the last one. I didn't have any way to go. I wasn't driving anymore, so I had a friend take me, mm-hmm. and so she escorted me to she was an Edgewood friend. Yeah, it's been a life, and I don't think we miss much, but
yeah. How important is it to have a close family? Like she says.
I got to go back a minute and tell you what I gave this granddaughter. It was a prairie doll, made out of sheets, covered with a ball covered in the head.
Yeah.
We made these dolls an extension, and they were prairie dolls. And so I gave this to this little girl that has the same name as my ancestor, my great-grandmother had when she came here from Scotland. So I that's what I do. I get off on a story and then
That's all right.
I don't get it finished.
It's okay. How about your close family?
The close family?
Yeah.
Well, they're about as close as I can get, I guess. Mm-hmm. I have the two of them here and the two that are away. Mm-hmm. One in Arizona and one in Washington State, twin girls. But they were all here for the party this summer. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't expect anybody. With South Dakota weather, winter, we didn't. We've had too many experiences coming in, even planes not making it through.
Yeah.
So they decided to have the party 4th of July.
That's
so
good.
It was fine. Great.
Good.
And now I had a little party yesterday, and it's been fine. But I call my cards my cheering section. They are wonderful to hear, and the kids had a card shower for me, so
that's good.
I even had a stranger who happened to visit some time ago, and he knew that I was coming up 100, and he called me and wanted, is there something I can do for you? He sent me a birthday card, and I only saw him once, and is there something I can do? Could I take you out to eat? Oh my, I haven't eaten out for a while. So no, but I told him, I like any kind of flower, especially one that resembles a rose. And so he's coming tomorrow to my door to deliver roses.
Roses.
I guess.
Are red roses your favorite?
Red?
Yeah.
I love red roses because when I had my 75th wedding anniversary, my husband was gone. The kids gave me this 75 roses, red roses, in a bouquet.
Wow.
So they have been rather special, and so that's kind of the way I worded it to him.
That you liked red roses.
But one other thing I want to mention, that this family that I was in over at Edgewood, mm-hmm. that has become so important to me, there was another 100-year-old, and his name was there again, when I go to names, I lose it. But he's passed away now, but his birthday was in July. So I sent him a card, but he and I, we had a special relationship. There was something about when we got close, we both lit up with jest.
Yeah.
You know, we could fire it back and forth. He could throw it at me and I could throw it right back. It was just a strange happening. But he and I, in our living at Edgewood, had a great time. We always argued about who was in charge, but he was older than I was, so I would give in to him. But before that, he knew that I was going to be old.
Was he part of your jury?
No, that was in assisted living.
Oh, okay.
That I had formed the jury with my.
With them.
No, that was ingenuity, rather than just tell them the story. We said, "I'll give you the case. You decide," and it would be 2 or 3 people would be at the jury. And they'd make they didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know the story ahead of time. Then I would tell them the outcome. And so it was a fun time. It was, they all enjoyed it. And there's probably 18, 20 came to the program each time I had it.
Yeah. That's
so
wonderful.
That is what led me on, the fact that I was successful in what I was doing. And I kept doing it.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm still a leader today in some ways. Like when you hear the story of that grandchild, the influence and she has been special. But yes, I have it on my iPad, me up in the Catholic Cathedral in downtown Chicago, giving my recitation. So I've had some exciting times in my day, and I don't think they'll get too exciting from here on in, but who knows?
Do you have any regrets?
Oh gosh. Oh yes, there's a couple of times, probably I have a couple of times in something I said and you can't get it back once you said it.
That's right.
And yes, I have a regret in that respect. But I won't disclose it.
Yeah, no, you don't have to.
I won't,
Any questions?
I think it was awesome.
Beverly, thank you very much for letting me come in here.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I haven't got all steamed up over it because I knew I could handle it.
Yeah.
Some way I knew, and I did my little prayer ahead of time. God help me. And I've gotten through it all. I've had a couple of memory lapses that I always have trouble with names. I get ready to put a name on, and I can't do it.
I've had that, and I'm 60 years younger than you, so I think you're doing absolutely wonderful. So, can you tell me your full name?
My full name?
Yeah.
Is Beverly Francia Stormo, Jealous Stormo. And the Jealous is Jellis. And the Francia I got from my grandmother, not my great-grandmother, my mother's mother. I was named Beverly Francia. And every time it was printed and sent out for, even on my birth certificate, they changed it to Francis. And I let it go. But I loved that middle name. I thought it was beautiful.
It is
and
beautiful.
My mother, her name was Ella Ruth, and she took the name of Ruth. And I said, I didn't realize that. I could have, not that I disliked Beverly. That was unusual. There weren't a lot of us around. But the Francia, I really grew to like. And so I don't know that I would have done it, but I knew my mother did it, so It could be done. I could have been Francia Beverly, or Francia. I don't know. My mother just went with Ruth.
Yeah, that's awesome. You are Watertown's next centurion.
Centurion.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a centurion. Can you imagine? Tomorrow, I'll become a centurion. Yeah, it is interesting that the time has finally come here. But 2 years ago, I said, I am, good night, give or take a year or two, I am 100 years old. I have lived 100 years. And not a whole lot has changed the last couple of years to make that any different. But the story is still there. And it wasn't until Andy came to me and wondered if I would do an interview that I thought, oh my goodness, that's a threat. I don't, just offhand, I don't, let me think about it. And then I got thinking, and it took me clear back to my extension days when we interviewed all of our neighbors. They didn't argue.
Mm-mm.
We did it on tape, just went in and talked to them, wanted to know where they came from and what they were all about. And we did it. And so I said, oh goodness, I have to, but I would rather that we do it not on site.
Yeah. Not do it live. We'll just record it and
you can cut out those times that I can't remember.
Absolutely. Mine too. Okay, anything else that you want to share, Beverly?
I think that we pretty well, the grandest thing, or the greatest thing that happened to me was that barn burning. Even today, at 100 years old, as I think about it, I can get tears in my eyes. That was definitely a moving point in my life. I think I've hit on most of it. Giving credit where it was due, and that was in the extension homemaker. It was all we had. We didn't have. I mean, it was a life-saving event for us. We were learning to do things that we didn't know how to do, and so it was. That I have to give them credit. That was where I got my power to lead, and the power to lead is what I'm proud of today. The many times that I have taken the leadership role in my circle, in the club, and the things I've taught them, and in the leadership, the extension homemaker work that we did, even we ran the farm show when it was in the city auditorium. Can you imagine when the farm show was in the city auditorium? We ran the lunch counter, my extension club, and then followed out to the farm show. I was 23-year leader of the farm show lunch committee.
Were you the one that made those peanut bars?
No, they were bought.
Okay.
But they are part of the farm show. I would agree. If I get in later years, I used to get out to the farm show, and a peanut bar was a real memory of the old days.
Yeah.
But I can remember my daughter Kim was just a little girl when I was out, and she and her friend Jean, her cousin, would come out there, and I'd have them behind the candy counter, and they were helping with the farm show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were that small, so it was a long time ago.
I heard stories of them getting the livestock on the stage at the city auditorium. Is that true?
I suppose.
Yeah.
That was where the stock was in there, in the farm. They went in on the back side of the building somewhere.
Yeah.
But we were in there serving lunch to the people that came.
Yeah.
Way back then. And I don't know. That was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it was days of our extension club.
Yeah. Well, another farm show will be coming again. So.
Yes, and always tried to get out there, probably don't anymore, but would go out for a hamburger. The hamburger recipe I still have that was prize out to the farm show. But yes, the peanut bar, a specialty.
Yeah, it's delicious.
But that was bought in by wherever they got them from.
It's part of the farm show now, though.
Oh yes, it's still being bought and brought out there for the food. And I don't have anything to do with the food anymore, but it was through the 4-H clubs that I ran the farm show. And extension as well. That was our first experience in the auditorium.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know, I don't have a history of the farm show as to when that first started or why it was in, because in the auditorium, that was before the ag building was probably there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, yeah.
So it was a long time ago. But I love Watertown. I think one of my favorite loves is the Votech School. What they have, the accomplishment that they have made, and the people, the people that flock here to go to Votech School. So that was always part of my love. The zoo was another one that I've always been interested in. And when the tiger left here, I forgot the name of the tiger, but just went to another far-off place. I don't know why they did that. Took our tiger.
It's because the zoo needed to have special, additions to have the tiger.
I guess.
And they weren't able to provide those, so they had to let him go.
So.
Yeah.
And so it's all right, but I feel sorry for that tiger. He had to be moved.
Yeah.
And I guess he wasn't the friendliest tiger to the zookeeper.
Oh, but, really? Yeah.
I get the current, and they do a good job of covering Watertown. So I pretty much read it. I watched the big old elevator go down that'd been there for all of my life.
Yeah.
And
that has changed the landscape.
Oh, mercy. And I know that it took a long time to get the debris from that building untangled and out of there. But it looks beautiful. I was by it the other day.
Yeah.
And absolutely well done.
Yeah, they did. They already got grass planted, it looks like.
Yes. Yeah. And I thought, that's unusual. I thought some electrical system was coming in there. They'd have their towers and things.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Grass
to
mow grass. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll watch.
Yep, we'll see what happens. What else does Watertown need?
What else do they need?
Yeah.
They need to get the Palace apartment finished off. That city has got to come alive and take an active move in that and get that finished. They can't leave that eyesore there. It's falling apart. I thought maybe the Votech could come in and build, but the expertise in my family or engineers say no, they aren't capable of that style of building.
Oh.
They can do houses,
Yeah.
because I knew they build houses. But they've got to come up with a solution. They have this beautiful grounds downtown that is now a part of the community and a grandstand, and but that hotel was to be their bathroom area, their storage area, and whatever else. Come on, city, get that taken care of. It's got to be done.
I think
and you have to go out on the limb it was a mistake made by an engineer who went beyond his means, but come on.
Yeah, let's figure this out, right?
It's needed. It's got to be handled, and you're the ones that do it. So if you have to dig a little deeper, I've always thought I've never seen a community that hasn't pitched in. If they need a fund drive to help get something done, set it up and get going. People will help. And that's what I'm saying. Learn to be a giver. Help out in these situations. You've got it. You can give some of your money to that.
They might need Beverly to take the charge.
Well, I have held a fund drive in a church drive. Took in thousands of dollars. I ran that. No, I just know it can be done.
Yeah.
And somebody with a little ingenuity and drive, they need to get that done. Get that building finished off. Stand behind where the cost is going to be. I mean, you're going to lose a little money, but get there and tend it.
But it needs to get fixed.
I have so admired the people that brought the Goss Theater to life again. And it was, the city didn't do that. That was done by local people that pitched in. And look what they did to the Goss Theater.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Built the roof, rebuilt the roof. It is going strong as an entertainment center today. But city, wake up. Get that building finished.
Take care of it, right?
Absolutely, it's their business.
Yeah.
They're the ones in charge. So, yeah.
Good deal. Well, thank you again for inviting us in. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm so glad you came here because we could banter a little bit here.
Back and forth.
I wasn't ready for
to go out
cold turkey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
do you need any other questions?
Andy, thank you for helping this along the way.
Absolutely.
Because he was, and it was interesting. I had a beautiful gift donated or brought to the door from another one of my givings, and they mentioned Andy.
Did they?
So Andy's kind of important around town.
Yeah.
And they all know him.
Oh, really?
Kim was up here.
Oh.
So, and I've been a giver to them for a long time.
Andy's got a good heart.
He what?
He's got a good heart.
Yeah, he has.
He likes to give. Yeah.
I found that out. He is a special guy.
He took a page from your book.
Huh?
He took a page from your book. He likes to give, just like you.
Absolutely. He is, that's what we're aiming for, to just pat that kind of advice. And it was long before me that Leo Titsy wrote the article that, he made many articles, always in the paper, but he was always forgiving. Given you will receive. And so I'm taking a page from Leo. He was an old church friend. And yes, that's important. It's important.
Yeah. No, that's pretty amazing. You're an amazing lady.
It's okay if you want to say so.
Yeah.
I'm not overly. I don't glee in me. You know. I just keep going. But I am who I am, and you can't change that.
No.
You can try, but you probably won't.
But you also said be who you are.
Huh?
You also said be who you are. Right?
I said what?
To be who you are.
Yes, I guess I'm meant to be. As one of my great grandchildren would say, I have a calling. I'm only filling my calling, and as he's studying to be a priest, so he has a calling. And I've asked him about his calling, so he says to me, you have a calling too. And I said, yes, I guess I do. Now that you mention it, I must have been here for a reason. And so I have fulfilled it to the best of my ability without knowing what that purpose was for me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what your purpose is in life? No. So you just keep going.
Yeah.
You do what you think is your purpose or what you want to be involved in,
Yep.
and so. But when you personally ask me, what are you here for? I couldn't exactly tell you, but I have been here for all this time, and others can better explain it than me, probably. But it's been a fun course living with a family like mine. They are my all, because when I realized that I have that whole bunch of family up there is a result of me, and then there's 11 that weren't there. So that is pretty special.
Mm-hmm. Look what you started.
Yeah, look what I started, and along with my husband and our 5 kids, because of their children and grandchildren, my great-grands, were all a part of this one family, and they have been great. They've been a together group all through the years, and it sounds like they will continue to be, and I hope so.